In the 5th episode of Chief of War, not much happens. However, the race of the gods perfectly positions the chessboard while being what can be legitimately described as a filler. Kayana's eagerly anticipated return to his home islands will play an unexpected role in the upcoming conflict between Kamehameha and Keoua. Kamehameha must protect his region from his cousin's wrath before he can take the throne of the prophesied king. Kayana's return home is difficult. Keoua has been waiting a long time. But during the trip, he maintained his faith and patience. If anything, he has won a devoted friend by being careless and taking his time to rescue Tony from a life of suffering and mistreatment. Tony is appreciative. However, Keoua now prioritizes getting back together with his family over all of that. For Vi, family means something quite different. She has yet to adjust to the embarrassment of being a common woman and having to share a meal with a chief of royal birth. Even on the ship, she is reminded of that division, which makes sense given how strongly social hierarchies and gender norms are valued in her home. Vi views her kid, whom she left behind when she set out into the Pacific in a canoe without a map or compass, as family. She couldn't have imagined that she would be able to return. Knowing that she might not see her son again, she departed for the most part. Vi, however, wants another opportunity to become a mother now that she is returned. Furthermore, even though Keoua tells her that everything at home is exactly how they left it, that isn't the case at all. Not even Keoua is going back to the same Hawaii. Moku has the authority to make decisions regarding Keoua and the Nuka's crew in his capacity as chief counsel. He doesn't have much faith in Keoua. And given that he recognizes Keoua as two different things, that makes sense. He is the battle chief who deserted his king to start. Second, he is the warrior who helped Kahekili ruthlessly conquer Oahu. Keoua's apologies and desire for atonement do not take away from the role he played in the Kahekili attack on peaceful islands. Furthermore, Moku's interactions with the Pale Skin haven't been particularly positive. Therefore, Moku requests that the Nuka's crew remain on board while he brings Keoua's plea to Kamehameha and his council. Seeing his family, especially Kupuohi, again is the one thing Keoua has been most excited about. But without him, time hasn't stopped. Additionally, Kupuohi and Namek have become close since Keoua's last visit. When Hik breaks the news of Keoua's homecoming, Kupuohi isn't in the right frame of mind to even feel the upheaval. His unannounced reappearance is the answer to the prayers of the majority of Keoua's family. However, Namek has recently begun praying for someone else. He has grown closer to Kupuohi than she is to him. Any prospect of them trying out a life together is ruined now that Keoua is returned. Namek feels grateful for his brother's return, but that's not the case. However, his joy is slightly overshadowed by his heartbreak. Asking Kupuohi to give Namek some privacy to lick his wounds is a smart move on Nahi's part. Given that Kupuohi obviously wants to be with Keoua, Namek would be better off picking herself up and moving on. Namek might not get better after a haphazard ocean swim and a prayer shouted to the sun. However, they are his means of making a new beginning and concentrating on what really counts. For what reason does Keoua feel deceived? Keoua has fallen behind in the battle of the gods. He anticipated receiving the political and spiritual thrones of the Kingdom of Hawaii as he was Kalaniopeu's son. At his core, he is a fighter and his soul is deeply spiritual. He will never be comfortable entrusting the worship of the war god to anybody else. Keoua's desire to act honorably is the only thing preventing him from venting his anger on the Kohala district. He does not wish to be associated with insane monarchs such as Kahekili. In order to influence and persuade them to join his fight, he has assembled the chiefs of every district in Hawaii. However, Kamehameha, the delegate for Kohala, is not present, which is the first issue that worries the chiefs. The chiefs of each of the major districts are supposed to review king's decisions. Keoua has undermined the framework that Hawaii's bureaucratic choices are supposed to adhere to by leaving out Kohala for apparent reasons. The chief's reverence for the previous king and his beliefs comes before their fear of being charged with treason against the new one.